Good day to you wherever this episode finds you. Morning, midnight, afternoon. Episode 74 of Three Things with Ian. Checking in on a March 15th. Please excuse my red eyes. I went for a run with some hair gel in, and it's warm out, and there was some burning and some uncomfortability there. Next time I'll have to wear a hat or something. Anyway, on this episode, we are going to talk about a soccer story that we kind of talked about previously. We're going to talk raffles. I have some theoretical questions for you on how you delegate your tickets during raffle time. And we're going to briefly talk about text messaging. I had a colleague today kind of lecture me a little bit on punctuation and text messaging and what it means these days. And it was very eye-opening. So without further ado, let's get into it. So we talked about relegation and promotion in the EPL, the English Premier League. And I mentioned that in soccer, there's a hierarchy. There's the powerhouses, the muddy middle, and the cellar dwellers. Teams can travel up and down sometimes, but for the most part, these tiers remain unshakable. And yet, across the Atlantic, Nottingham Forest, not a powerhouse soccer team. I bet you most of you have not heard of the Forest. A team that just 3 years ago, their return. They were promoted just 3 years ago after 23 years away from the top tiers of soccer. They're now the darling of English soccer. They are second in a very competitive league. Only Liverpool is ahead of them, my mighty Liverpool. So that means that Arsenal, Man City, Man United, Aston Villa, Chelsea, all these big clubs with these big Saudi payrolls, they are looking up at Nottingham Forest. Last Saturday, they beat Manchester City, who is having a bit of a down year. Still have a roster stacked with all-stars. They beat them 1-0. I would like to say that I made a very big point about saying teams that are recently promoted have a very hard time getting up to that upper tier. This team was a relegation candidate just last year. They finished 16th and 17th in their first 2 years getting back into the top tier. Now they're 2 months away from earning a Champions League spot, which is unbelievable. Unbelievable. That is the equivalent, I would say, of my beloved Detroit Pistons, who were absolutely abysmal. They lost like 30-something games in a row. It is the equivalent of them being essentially up there with the Celtics or the Thunder in terms of the top tier teams. Pistons are doing quite well this year, but their rise has not been as dramatic as the Nottingham Forest. And I will say, just to capstone this story, is one miracle Cinderella season can change their entire outlook because there are already plans financially to build a top-tier stadium. So Nottingham Forest, you'll have to Google where in England that is. They're a team that historically has not been very good. It took 23 years for them to get out of that second tier just to get into the top tier. What an incredible story. It goes to show you that there's always an exception to any rule. They are very much in the powerhouse dynamic this season. So, and I like that one season can change their future. They'll get a nice new stadium, hopefully, and that will improve their fan experience mightily. Okay, so story number 2. Not sports, I promise, but raffle tickets, So close your eyes for a minute and just picture the setting. You're at a function with about, let's say, 50 people. Each person has 3 tickets, so 150 total tickets. This is no Powerball. And let's just say there's 10 prizes of equal value, of equal importance. One's like maybe some movie popcorn snacks and a gift card. One's like an Amazon gift card. They generally are designed to be pretty evenly. The tickets are meant to be evenly distributed. So you have 3 tickets. There's 150 total tickets. There's 50 people. I always put all of my tickets in one basket. And I was wondering to myself, does it make sense? It probably doesn't. But does it make sense to spread them out? Does that change my odds dramatically? Because in my head, I've always said, if you want something, go all in. It'll raise your chances incrementally, but at least it's a rise. I have a better chance of winning with 3 tickets than I have with 1 or 2. That's just facts. And then I'm always confronted with the person that always wins or seems to win a preponderance They win more often than they would if this was just a random number generator kind of program. I had somebody who said to me, and I totally believe this, by the way, because I've seen it twice now, that they've won 5 times. Let's just assume they've won 5 times out of the last 10 opportunities. That's staggering. That person you got to hitch your wagon to. What is it about luck that is so frustrating for those that don't have it? You can't increase your chances of winning these things. You just got to keep doing it. You got to play the game. But would you, confronted with this scenario, 3 tickets, 10 prizes, would you divvy your tickets up? Or would you go all in? I'd love to hear your feedback. I'm going to keep going all in. I'll probably keep never winning. My only foray into gambling is I occasionally buy $1 scratch off, and every other time I win my $1 back. I'm just terrified to get into the habit of spending $5 on a scratcher, because although the chances of winning something, 1, 2, 4, 5, $10 is better, my fear is if I spend $5 and get nothing, it's just not tenable for me. It's just it's too soul crushing. We can talk about sports gambling on a different episode. I have dabbled my feet into that. My toes have tickled the waters, so to speak, but I'm just very risk averse. You have to be so comfortable with risk to be a professional gambler, and I'm kind of glad I'm not. So is my family, most likely. The last story, punctuation and text messages. So I was having a conversation with somebody, and they mentioned that the text message they received from somebody, it was their superior, but I don't know if that matters particularly, but it was someone of their age cohort, someone in their young 20s. And they wrote okay, period. And apparently the audacity to add that period was just beyond the pale. And it meant that there was animosity and anger and frustration and some negative feeling associated with that. And I said, what would it look like if they just said okay, no period, or just the letter K? Sometimes I do just the letter K. Is that too flippant? Does that show that I don't have enough invested in this conversation, in this friendship? I don't know. In this new role, in this job I have now, I do a lot more texting. I do a lot more communicating with different groups of adults. And I'm very uncomfortable texting still. It's just something that I don't have a lot of experience with. I'm still, this is going to be crazy, and you might unsubscribe over this, but I'm still a 1 button or character texter as opposed to the swoopy swooshies thing where you spell surprise by going shoo, and then it pops up on the screen, or at least it's an option. But how much does punctuation matter? Is this a generational thing? Like they said, this person is in their 20s. I am not. My first cell phone I got in high school was a flip phone that was black and white that you had to pull the antenna up, and I don't even know if you could text. I don't know how texting came about. I need to do some research on the origins of texting, but I digress. So when you're texting, do you use punctuation when you want to make a specific point, an emphasis, a declarative statement? Is it when you're feeling a particular mood, usually a negative one? How about an exclamation point? If you do 1 versus 2 versus 3, 3 seems excessive for any situation, but it's clear to me that different generations of persons text very differently, and I just want to know about it. I still don't listen to voice messages. I still don't really listen to them. It's just there's too much involved in getting to the main message and pressing and then hearing the message. There's just too much involved in that. But punctuation, text messages, it sounds like the general consensus from the single person I talked to was that if you add punctuation and you write the word okay and you actually spell okay, it means that things are not, there's no homeostasis in that relationship, I suppose. So anyway, those were some quick hits today. Be above the line. This is a new quote that I keep thinking. It's very easy to be below the line. A little more effort to be average, but let's be above the line. Let's be above the line together. I was going to show you some eggs and duck eggs versus chicken eggs and do a whole visual presentation. Maybe we'll do that tomorrow. Anyway, please keep supporting the station. I'm having a really fun time doing this. I appreciate everyone making it to this stage of the episode. I guess a quick recap. It's a Friday night. Actually, this is Saturday. Whoops, time travel's weird. We talked about Nottingham Forest bucking the trend. We talked about how do you raffle, and then we discussed punctuation in text messaging, SMS. I will see you guys tomorrow. Good night.